All right, so believe it or not all was well on the Western Front when they were marketing or when they were making the Jeffrey Dahmer series on Netflix, which is turning into its own version of Don't Worry, Darling, with all of the gold, the absolute gold that's coming out of this. So it says, Netflix's Jeffrey Dahmer series accused of racism towards black crew. One of the worst shows I've ever worked on. I'm actually going to go to the Lad Bible article here. So it says, Dahmer, Monster, the Jeffrey Dahmer story, which is one of the worst names I've ever seen for a show ever, by the way, with the subject, Dahmer, Monster, the Jeffrey Dahmer story. Like,
what?
It's kind of along...
If anything, the main title should have been Monster. Yeah. And then the subtitle should be, like, the Dahmer story. Yeah. So says, I don't know. So weird. So basically, they talk about here, her name was Kim Alsop, and she was a production assistant on this show. And she says that she was worked as a coordinator on the 10-part series and was regularly mistaken with a black colleague. Retweeting the trailer, she said, I worked on this project and I was one of two black people on the crew, and they kept calling me her name. We both had braids. She had dark skin and is 5'10". I'm 5'5". Working on this took everything I had and I was treated horribly. I look at the black female lead differently now too. Speaking with the Los Angeles Times. Okay, you're privileged if you're a production assistant or anything less than a director or an actor and you're speaking with the Los Angeles Times. I'm sorry. I mean, I just want to know how many production assistants they had and why she expected...
Thank you.
Why she expected the director and all the rest of the crew to know her personally.
Yeah.
When it was her job to memorize the names of the extras and the actors.
She added that she hadn't yet watched the series because she fears it will remind her of the difficult time she had making the show. She also said, I just feel like it's going to bring back too many memories of working on it. I don't want to have these PTSD type situations.
The trailer itself gave me PTSD, which is why I ended up writing that tweet, and I didn't think anyone was going to read it.
Dude, I gotta say.
So what she said in the tweet, we don't know, because she made her account private.
What makes this country exceptional is also what makes it terrible. Because people are told, man, you can do it, follow your dreams, blah, blah. And that is the kind of comment of a person that has been told, you're the best, you're this, you're that. And they don't understand that life is in stages. And I wasn't born the marketing man extraordinaire, you know. It took years and some grinding. And as I've said in the past on the show, I was a production assistant. And I've gotten people coffee more times than you could effing believe, okay? And sure, it sucked. But I sure as hell didn't expect anyone to know my name. You know what I'm saying?
I have been a production assistant. You would be more shocked if they did know your name.
Yeah.
You would be like, am I being set up for something?
Here's the thing.
And we're cute.
They're going to know the name Kim Alsop now
yeah.
because you talked to the LA Times. That was a huge mistake because now
no one's going to hire
everyone's going to know that you're difficult to work with and you're not going to get hired again because you're causing the production more harm than good. You caused them bad publicity. Why would anyone else hire you again, ever?
Imagine D-Day. You're literally airdropping into Afghanistan or Iraq. It's D-Day, and you're taking the boat to like this is the point of the country now where PTSD is now given to you because people didn't remember your names.
Everyone on a set, it seems, wants to be treated like they're starring.
Yes.
Every production assistant assumes that they should get the same treatment as Evan Peters.
Dude, know your role.
And where does that...
There is a point here. Where
does that attitude even come from?
There's an argument to be made here, like, dude, grow up.
When has Hollywood been some kind of egalitarian utopia where status...
This is their
like, regardless of status and regardless of your name and your, like... your star power, you're treated the same. That's never been the case in Hollywood, and it's never been the case in the art world or the fashion world, anywhere.
But it's their own fault. Okay, I was just watching an interview, like a thing where Priyanka Chopra did like a Q&A with Kamala Harris, and they were talking about, she's like, I finally got paid the same as my male coworkers. They pay lip service to the gender wage gap bullshit all the time. Sorry. So I swore.
You're good with me.
It's not a kid-friendly thing to do. Guys, don't swear. It's not nice. They talk about this. How often does this stuff come up when we're talking about this stuff, Mary? Like when they're talking about gender wage disparity, things like that. That's not uncommon.
You know what's funny? Kim Alsop's technical position on set was to be the COVID testing coordinator.
And they expected her name to be remembered.
The COVID testing coordinator. Why would anyone even like you? You're there just to bother them about whether they're COVID positive.
So you're like literally swabbing
in 2022.
People? Maybe it's actually I sent you an article over the weekend that we didn't choose that I chose not to cover today. That they just renewed COVID protocols in Hollywood again.
Yeah.
For another 6 months.
And this woman's job exists because of that lunacy.
Maybe she's just
and she expects people to treat her with respect when she's trying to stick a swab into their skull.
You're getting impersonated in chat now, full on.
Okay,
that's pretty incredible.
That's right. Like imagine maybe there's like a fake level of intimacy of like sticking a swab in someone's nose.
Is that it?
And she feels like she's developing a connection with these people, and she's not.
You think that you know Evan Peters because you stuck a swab into his nose.
Could be.
And that you're on the same level as him. Like, calling yourself a part of the crew when all you're doing is sticking swabs in people's faces feels a little bit disingenuous and self-aggrandizing, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. So I'm just like, we're in a world now where everyone has to be held to the same standard, but not everyone gets to be treated the same. And them's the breaks, as they say. The star of the show does not get treated the same as the director, who does not get treated. Like, imagine being like if you're saying the director doesn't know the lead actor's name, or the lead actor doesn't know his co-star's name, maybe we have room here for an argument, but you're literally a cog in the machine.
I think at least the backlash from the family members of Dahmer's victims have a leg to stand on with being disturbed by the fact that this production happened.
Well, what about
but if this is just about behind the scenes drama and you assuming racism, when think about if you had been in another PA's shoes, if you and another PA were both generic looking white guys who wear polos or something, and you both get called the same name. If one of you is named Kyle and the other one is named Kevin, then you're both called Kyle. Would that be racism? No. It would be the fact that you're insignificant and you can be replaced instantly. And because of that, because of you whining to the press as well, that's why you're not going to be on another set.
So I think these people know that.
Is there also a certain level of disrespect to be paid to the actual people who went through the Dahmer tragedy, through family members, to say that she's got
that
PTSD
you have equal level of like that you have an equal gripe?
Yeah, that you have PTSD because people
alongside
didn't remember your name.
them. When they have an actual claim to being re-traumatized, their saying that is now being discredited even further because you're claiming trauma.
It's kind of like when with the Don't Worry Darling stuff, and like there's like legitimate gripes to the backstage drama, but then everybody makes it about Spitgate. And this one, like all of the families that are going through this again are like, I'm being re-traumatized. Do I agree with them that Hollywood doesn't have a right to tell that story and monetize? No, I don't necessarily agree with that. But they have at least an understandable thing to complain about, and that's going to be lumped in with Kim Alsop saying, people didn't remember my name, why trauma?
What's Spitgate?
Harry Styles
spitting on
allegedly spitting on Chris
Pratt. So
that was the most well-known controversy surrounding the film, even though it was the most obviously debunked one.
Because it was easy for them to say, look how ridiculous all of these claims are. If this one is ridiculous, the rest of them must be ridiculous too. They shifted it to focus on that because then it makes all of the claims sound stupid, even though all the other ones had more than enough validity to them.
And if we're looking at this, at all the drama surrounding Dahmer on the grounds of, like, is this good marketing for the show? I would say no, compared to the Don't Worry Darling drama, because all the Don't Worry Darling drama was low stakes. It meant nothing. Mm-hmm. And in the ethic of today, which is obsessed with all things social justice related, you didn't have any grounds to complain on that front. But with this, it's first the LGBT controversy, the tag on Netflix,
which they removed.
Which
then, of course, we released a video this weekend before, but we didn't release the one about them removing it, so it makes us look like fake news. We are not fake news. We just covered it again.
The insider piece that was published by the family member of a victim, I think the sister of one of the victims, who was herself portrayed on the stand in the show.
Shockingly accurately, I might add. Like the actress they got to play this lady looked just like her.
And then now this.
Yep.
So all of this is like very heavy stuff.
Yep.
Like, I don't even know if this show should have happened. Like, if this was even a good idea.
I don't have a problem with
because you're just like, well, I don't know. Like,
why not?
I think it's distasteful because there's already a body of work on.
Blame the Awfuls. They're the ones who
dramatic retellings of Jeffrey Dahmer's crimes, and then there was already a full-length film starring a former Disney star about Dahmer's life before he started committing crimes. I think that's a hell of a lot more interesting than reenacting the crimes themselves and the aftermath.
Did you see the TikTok trend of all the women who are claiming like that they watched it and then that it wasn't bad enough? So apparently they didn't like. There's plenty.
What do you mean?
The claim that this romanticizes serial killers is totally true. Like, that's exactly what it's doing.
We've been doing that in this
You're
country
casting
for 3
Evan
decades.
Peters, who is like one of those American Horror Story heartthrobs that like teenage girls were obsessed with. You're casting him as Jeffrey Dahmer.
But
what do you think is going to happen? Nobody is connecting this to the fact that it was a real life event.
Yeah.
And that it was a real person who really killed people.
Was it Bundy, the one that was really handsome?
Yeah.
Bundy was and they casted Zac Efron. They cast Zac Efron. You don't have to say casted. Somebody corrected me on that recently.
Really?
I mean, even that was a different situation because Ted Bundy being charming to women is an essential part of how he got away with his crimes.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Dahmer was an awkward, socially inept.
So maybe what we do here is we turn it on them like the women would turn it. We make it about ugly guys. Like we ugly guys want our roles too. You don't need to hire
ugly representation.
Yeah, we need ugly I need a role, okay? I need to be.
Brett.
But so I'm saying like that. You need to start.
Don't make me call you.
You need to start playing their game. And start making it about like, nothing. You can cast all the ugly women and all the this and that and say that it's about representation. But the second you need to cast Jeffrey Dahmer, you cast some super handsome guy. No. Ugly dudes.
Even more than dramatized TV shows and movies romanticize serial killers. I think the podcasters that like do their makeup and talk about true crime.
Yeah.
Are doing the work of trivializing those crimes even more so.
It's a market, man. It's a whole market to be reached.
I can't believe that they're the uncanceled. Like, they're the uncancelable. When, for such a, like, I don't know, what is considered immoral today.
Do you think the people that listen to this show think of it as immoral? I bet you they do.
To this show?
If there's
Pop Culture Crisis?
Do you think they think it's immoral?
To cover those
stories and romanticize them?
No.
It's a different... I mean, it's obviously different if you're making a film or fictional like TV show about it than just sitting there and... retelling it while doing your makeup.
We've got this thing here about the TikTok trend where it's like
true crime is popular because women romanticize serial killers. It's just true.
To your point, I think chat's based, and I don't think a lot of things faze them.
Raise your hand if you are part of the handful of people who are completely unbothered by the Dahmer series and is watching it again. This is a trend going around on TikTok right now. Here's another one that says, load. It says when everyone is freaking out about how morbid the new Dahmer show is, and you're just bummed they didn't show the cruel, more morbid parts.
Dude, Criminal Minds. If you watch that show gets gross.
I've been rewatching it. I spent time watching it. I love that show.
If
I love the
you're
first 5 seasons.
interested in salacious and gory, shocking content, there's plenty of fictional material for you, but it's specifically that this involved real people and real life events that intrigues people the most, and I think that's gross.
I don't see it as a thing that should not be covered.
Look at okay, they're auctioning off Jeffrey Dahmer's glasses for $150,000.
Whole cottage
Tell me
industry.
that this is not actively disrespecting families
Somewhere Ben
spitting
Shapiro's,
on the graves of victims.
Somewhere Ben Shapiro's talking about the free market.
I understand but like, is that really yours to to profit off of?
Then
you blame
then you blame the media for covering it to begin with. Then we don't cover it at all, and there's no coverage. Either you get to cover it, or you get to, like, in this country, you can both cover it as part of the media, and then it becomes a dramatization later. That's just how the world works, unfortunately. And as long as there's interest,
I understand that that's how it works. I'm just saying that it's a sign of decay.
Yeah. Fun fact that's only tangentially connected. I used to break my glasses so much as a kid, right? I would get new glasses and I'd break them like instantly. My dad bought me those exact glasses. I mean, not those
they look exactly like that.
Those,
no.
like what are the ugliest glasses you've ever seen. And he said, you have to keep these for a year without breaking them, or you'll never get another pair. He would only buy me more of that pair until I made that pair last a year.
Did it work?
Yeah.
Wow.
I was like, I don't want these things for any longer than I have to have them.
That's funny.
So I had to literally have like serial killer glasses. Like, I mean, I probably could have had my first date in sixth grade or fifth grade if only I did not look like Ted Bundy or Jeffrey Dahmer walking through the classroom.
I hope that you pull up pictures of this at some point.
I probably never took pictures with them on. I probably took them off because I look like a serial killer.
Darn it.
So just thanks, Dad. Thank you for teaching me the value of making something of not breaking your stuff.
I mean, it worked.
It did.
I just want to acknowledge that, like, the appeal for the true crime audience, I think, is an escape from the obsession our society has with, like, propriety, and not propriety as in like how you dress or your language, but really that, like, men these days are on a leash. So, like, and if you see one who was absolutely unhinged to the extreme, it's, like, interesting.
Yeah, and there's no fiction that represents that anymore.
Like, no one even hunts animals anymore. So when you see a story of somebody in the modern world who, like, hunted people, that's obviously interesting.
Thank you, guys. Also, I want to point out we're trying to figure out a way to put the amount needed for the next crisis party on
or the amount that we have so far.
Yes.
In each.
I want to do that.
Yeah.
So, I think you're right. I think a big part of it is we're in a culture there's a huge push towards the feminization of men. There's a huge push away from anything masculine. All masculinity is toxic, and it's okay. And it's somehow considered more acceptable to show it when it's clearly meant to be bad. But then their natural instincts to be attracted to actual masculinity that isn't toxic or evil runs headlong into the fact that the only way they can now see it is through examples that are extremely awful.
Dude, so much so that literally all dude spaces now are either being invaded by women, moderators, or feds.
I tell Mary that all the time. I said, all the problems is it's like dudes just want to do their own thing, and women are like, hi, can we come in here?
And I'm not saying that killing people is masculine, just for the record. I'm just talking about...
Statistically, it is.
The, like...
Sorry to be the
most violent crime is committed by men.
Maybe the fact that men need a controlled environment of some kind to... And like, to safely and acceptably... be rough, be like wild or unhinged in some way, and they're not even allowed that.
Even in school is almost exclusively geared towards female forms of learning, right? Like men don't.
And that's part of the reason that this person flew off the handle. This Jeffrey Dahmer guy, he's an individual, and he went crazy.
They throw men on Ritalin, boys on Ritalin, because, God forbid, they have to sit in a classroom for 8 hours every day, which is antithetical to the way they're programmed to learn, right? It makes no sense.
And really anyone. It's just that women are better able to adapt to it.
Yep.
But I just wanted to point that out.
It's funny too, because this is absolutely like one of those things that they talk about in a lot of Criminal Minds episodes. Is like there's a whole thing about like a cottage industry of like serial killer memorabilia that gets sold, not uncommon. So
yeah,
there's extremely morbid people that would love to collect stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
I just want to point out, like, I understand that why there's an appeal.
Okay, so then I would ask you this: if we're okay with it being covered in the media, though we agree that the media is biased and awful, so you can't even necessarily expect the media to report on things accurately. We don't believe that they should be doing that. You don't think they should be making an aggrandized version of this and making it seem more glorified than it is.
Nope.
Yeah.
Birth control time.
Take your little cycle. Yeah. So what do they do? Like, how do you draw attention to this stuff if not that?
I mean, I feel like I say they shouldn't make this, but I know that they will, and it's unavoidable. So
I get it. Like, it's funny because like you and Hannah Claire are always like she says we shouldn't make sequels, and you're like. We shouldn't do this, and I'm over here like, but they're going to. I'm not really
should or
making
shouldn't isn't about censoring it.
Yeah,
it's just analyzing why we find certain things interesting right now.
And you think it's a reflection of our culture.
It's the wrong reasons. Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
And you think it's a reflection of the degradation of our culture.
Yes.
Yes. Do you think that that's something that can be rectified? Do you think we can go back on that? I'm trying to be less black-pilled. I'll ask.
Not through media, not through entertainment.
Mary thinks you need Jesus.
I think we need to like encounter death and destruction in our own lives and not other people's, and not like romanticizing it. That is other people's lives.
That is like a uniquely Western thing to be so cut off from danger.
Yeah.
Like that you can now seek out and romanticize the idea of violence because your life is fairly safe.
Yeah.
Like that feels very Western to me.
It definitely is.
So, thanks for watching this clip, guys. If you want to see full episodes or follow us on social media, links are in the description below. Bye.
Bye.